There he is again. Today is a premiere for me. I received a product for testing from the company Kaiweets for the very first time. This part here, a smart mini soldering iron. And since I've done some soldering before, I thought, okay, I'm happy to do it under my conditions. Send me the part and I'll test it. And I was actually surprised. Firstly, I was curious and was very surprised to find out whether this part can actually be used normally. Let's go. An intelligent mini soldering iron. That hasn't been done yet. This is something very special after all the soldering stations I've occasionally presented so far. The company Kaiweets contacted me to ask if I would be interested to make a short video about it. I said, okay, on my terms. And you also have to keep in mind that it might not turn out so great. So honestly, I was very curious when I first checked it out online. And I got even more interested when I actually received it pretty quickly and tried it out. This isn't really an unboxing we're doing here because I've already tried it out and unpacked it. I'm just going to show you again how it comes. And I'll share my personal experiences with it. I've actually come up with two small, clever modifications myself that I find to be pretty practical for everyday use. And I'd even say there's a hidden feature I haven't even seen advertised anywhere yet. Something else entirely that you can do with these specific parts. It's a really interesting addition that adds a lot of extra value to the whole setup. I'll go ahead and unpack it. This is how it comes. For once, there's actually a German manual included. So seriously, it's really in German. A manual that, if you haven't watched a video beforehand, is actually pretty useful. Otherwise, this is what you get. This is the USB power supply, 65 watts. This is the actual soldering iron. I can show it to you real quick. Let's see how big it is. Only 32 millimeters, so 13.2. And it also comes with this matching protective cap. This protective cap, which just screws on here. This is what it looks like when you have it on the tip. Then you move on, take this out. I'll try to remove that. And down here is hidden. A USB cable, very neat, with silicone insulation and heat resistance. So I tried it out. It's really fine. Very, very flexible. Wonderful. So the only thing about it that I don't like so much, I'll save that for the complaints at the end. It's a bit short, so it could easily be 20 centimeters longer. But it really is coated with silicone, and that's no problem. I even tested it with a soldering iron. Nothing happens. So that would go in the bottom box. Then there's this thing. Well, let's not give it a nickname. The holder. Then, completely, these tips. All these tips are included. I've tried this tip and that tip. This one's out. It's already open. I use these to run all my tests, and now I'll show you how things go from here. I'm going to put the device together now and give you a quick walk through the menu, and then I'll show you my setup for it. You can adjust it perfectly. And I've found a few things that I think are really practical. Next, I'll be doing some measurements. That means measurements from 0 to 100, measurements from standby to 100, temperature measurements, and calibrations. And at the end, we'll do some soldering. Then I'll share my opinion about the modification and give a few tips about static electricity. All right, I'm going to assemble the little mini soldering iron now. I've already picked out my favorite soldering tip. It's also the biggest one, so we'll use that. I'll just turn it on. You take it apart here. Please insert it all the way in until it stops. Then close it again. The cable has two caps. I'm not sure if you'd actually take them with you when you're on the go. You could, though. They're just for dust protection. Here's a piece of leather, real leather too, so you can pack it up a bit better. I think it's really nice. All right, now this goes into the power supply. And when you plug it in, it boots out. By the way, it actually has an OLED screen built in. That's honestly hard to believe. And then it shows, if you look at it now, I hope you can see this, the left button is blinking. The left button. And if you go ahead and press it right now, it'll quickly heat up all the way to the specific temperature I said earlier. We can measure it later. It takes a moment, and now it even smoked a little. It adjusts a bit more, and then it's done. That's it already. At the top, it shows that it's running on 20 volts because it's now connected to the big power supply. And so it's done. You get into the menu by pressing both buttons. Now you can set things up. Brightness. Calibrate. So calibration. I've already calibrated it. I measured it with an extra thermometer. I'll show that later with the thermometer. And then I added another 10 degrees. It was set 10 degrees lower. If you go into the calibration, you just select it here, and then you can calibrate. You can measure and calibrate. Now let's continue. Next is the temperature unit. I have successfully set the sleep time to exactly 1 minute. That'll come up again in my setup. Sleep time, we definitely don't need a child lock. Right or left center. I still can't really say what volume select actually does. And then under width, you have that again. The most important things, in my opinion, are calibration, temperature, unit, so either Celsius or Fahrenheit, sleep time, and sleep temperature. That's my setup. I'll show you that again later. And that's how you exit again. And now it automatically goes back to the 300 degrees I said earlier. And while I'm working here, I could also just turn it up in increments of 10. That's all there is to it. Good. And if you lay the device down, one of the features, the feature that I think is really cool, I set it up so that after 1 minute, it automatically lowers and goes into standby mode. And for standby, I set it to 90 degrees. So after a minute, a little icon appears here. I'll show that again real quick so you can see it. And then it drops down to 90 degrees. And when I pick it up again, it's ready in 3 seconds. I actually think that's pretty good. So again, if you want to set this up now, calibrate, temperature unit, sleep time, and sleep temperature. And I just set it to 90 degrees. You can also set it to 80. It also takes about 4 seconds when you pick it up again. And it's back up to 300 degrees. I think that's absolutely brilliant. The idea is good, also for safety reasons. So, I'm going to do a precise temperature measurement now. I just plugged it in. Now I'm turning it on again. So up here in the front, it's now unlocked. Now it's heating up to 300 degrees. And when I do the temperature measurement on this little sensor here, It has. Now at 300 degrees, I always put a little solder on it. Now let's take a look. I think that's acceptable. So I set it to 310 and it's showing 300 here. I think that's fine. So here it's showing 300 and I added another 10 as an offset. Here it only shows 3 more, if you know that. So I think you can solder with that. I'm going to let the tip cool down again now because I want to show you how fast it really goes into standby, how quickly it really heats up so you can work with it. Kaiweets didn't exactly make it easy for us here. They specify that to reach the melting point, that is the melting point of tin, that would be 240 degrees, 8 seconds. But somehow that's not really possible to demonstrate. I tried it and it can do it. I've already tested that. But you can't solder with just 240 degrees. I've set it to 300 degrees and now I'm going to press the heat up button here. And right at the exact same moment, I am going to go ahead and press the start button. And then let us just wait for a moment and see what actually happens here. It looks like it is showing 9.3 seconds on the timer. I really must have made some kind of mistake during the process. Measured wrong. I also used the largest tip. I find that really remarkable. So 9.3 seconds to reach 300 degrees. Like I said, Kaiweets stated that the melting time for solder is 8 seconds. That would be at 240 degrees. Let's just accept it as it is now. I'll just say the heat up time is lightning fast. Before I show you a few small soldering tests here, and before I bring out the modification again, I want to explain this to you once more. Up front here is the heat up button. You can also manually put it into standby mode. If you press here now, it reaches 300 degrees pretty quickly at the moment. It hits 300, drops down again, regulates itself, and then holds steady. If you put it into standby manually, just give it a quick press and it goes into standby manually. If you press it again, it heats up again. So that's the manual standby and also the heat up button again. If I just set it down and wait, I set it to 1 minute. After a minute, it automatically switches to standby. I don't want to bore you with that now, but after a minute, it goes into standby by itself. Another really nice feature is this pointed tip at the front. It's made of silicone. It doesn't get hot at all, so you can touch it without any problem. If you're right-handed, you can see the temperature. If the standby takes a while, that's how it looks. And here, you could start soldering again right away. Sounds good. All right, I'm going to grab a few more cables now. I'll show you how quickly it works. And then, the surprise. All right. The soldering iron has now, as you can see, you have the indicator up front, gone into standby automatically. If I just pick it up again now, look. It goes right back to the preset 300 degrees. So now I've just prepared something else. Just a simple cable repair. This is 0.75, so nothing particularly special. It handles it without any problem. I just did that now so you can see that it's not an issue at all. In terms of size, like this. And then I've got another little piece here, a data plate. I really don't see very much happening here. So I think I'll just continue working on this for just a little bit longer. Right. Now I've used the largest tip, but that's fine. So it does everything it's supposed to. Maybe it's not the ideal tip, but I prefer to use a size bigger. Now it's too small. I think that's enough. You can see what you need to see. It performs its intended task at an impressively high rate of speed. Now I just press here again. And now it's gone into standby manually. You could even put this part over it now. It's just locked in place like that. Nothing can happen there either. So I'll put this away. Now for the thing that's not written anywhere. This part also works with a power bank. That means you can make this little soldering iron completely mobile in no time. So if you're out and about for model builders or whatever else. However, this power bank is a bit small, so it doesn't switch to 20 volts. Here it says power bank 96%. And if I turn it on now, it heats up to 300 just as quickly, but it only switches to 12 volts because the power bank can't handle more. The power bank only manages 12.5, 12, wait a second. It only delivers 2.5 amps. Sorry, I'm not so sure because it's hard to see. Yeah, exactly. 2.1 amps, and it needs 3.4 to run at full power, but you can still solder with it. It just doesn't go quite as fast. So the portable soldering iron. Now, here's something I need to point out again. Like all these soldering irons that we use on the go, which aren't grounded, we have a problem with floating voltage or static electricity. So if you measure it properly, the pros know this, you can get up to 85 volts from the tip to ground, which is actually completely harmless since no current flows. But in certain cases, with sensitive devices or components, that could cause damage. And I came up with something for that. It's pretty simple if I really had something tricky to solder with this device. By the way, I also looked at articles on American sites and in the UK. They make everything much more complicated. And so I just thought of it this way. That way, I have my grounding if I ever have something special, and that's it. It could be done that simply. They have all sorts of complicated situations on the circuit board. Whether you get that from Kaiweets or just build it yourself, the average user doesn't need it. If you actually measure at the front, AC, are you really measuring with the right instrument? 85 to 90 volts, but completely harmless. I also did a test with the speaker. Nothing flows. I measured, no current, nothing measurable. It's just a purely static floating voltage. That's just something you need to know. There's no need to worry about it. So complaints. But this has nothing to do with complainment. It's just a technical thing, that's all. That's something Kaiweets showed somewhere, that you can do it. But that's something where I'd say I would have preferred a nicer holder. So a part like that isn't something you really need. And otherwise, it would be nice if the cable were 20 centimeters longer. My conclusion is that I'm very surprised. You could actually imagine using this regularly, right? Not just for the toolbox every now and then. And for someone who doesn't solder very often, it's definitely something to seriously consider. I'll keep going now. I've put the soldering station aside for now. I'll leave it. I'm just going to use this little Kaiweets gadget for a bit and maybe even make a second part about it. Honestly, at first, I was a bit hesitant and thought, well, what's this going to be? But I was pleasantly surprised. Anyway, thanks a lot for sticking around for so long and spending your time here. Before I even made this video, I'd already gotten a discount code from Kaiweets. It's a 15% discount code. I'll put it in the video description. So all of this was independent. If you think you can get along well with this thing, I was pleasantly surprised. It's not exactly a professional device, but you could say, I'll just throw it in my toolbox, or at least I always have. A soldering tool on hand. All right, see you next time. And it was a pleasure.